Anyone else have a hard time remembering how many days are in February? Because the whole leap year thing, it always kind of confuses me. Because I was about to say, hey, it's going to be the shortest month, but we're talking about the longest month. Because, technically 31, it's the longest month. All right, let's talk about January. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another monthly wrap up. This time we're talking about January of 2021, kicking off the new decade in style. I mean, not really. It's really not really much different than any other month, except we started that big read along, and that's obviously what has kind of dominated discussion here. But let's talk about other things that happened in January. Let's kick it off like usual. Let's talk about what I read in January. I read 6 books, obviously. Gardens of the Moon, as we kicked off the Malazan read-along. That was the big one. Then I filled it in with a little palate cleanser, as I like to call it, is a Revival by Stephen King. Then I dipped into the realm of the Elderlings by Robin Hobb as I checked out Assassin's Apprentice, book 1 of the Farseer trilogy. Then I was like, okay, I'm starting to get through my books really fast because that's all I had planned for January. So I was like, I don't want to start my Malazan reread, first read a little early. So let me try to fill in some gaps here with just some stuff. So I thought I'm going to do a reread of The Hobbit because I've never read that annotated edition they put out. It was just phenomenal. I loved it. It was great. Then I went ahead and said, okay, I guess I'll dip into some of my February books. And for Into the Multiverse in February, I had planned on going back into the Dark Tower with Dark Tower 2, The Drawing of the Three. And I read that whole thing. I also read all of Howling Dark by Christopher Rocchio. That's book 2 in the Sun Eater series. And those were both slated for February. And guys, I did my reshuffle of my TBR. And what I said in that is, people are like, oh, what a shock. It's February and you already changed your TBR. No, I did not change my TBR. I added to it. I just didn't anticipate having as much reading time as I did. I wasn't sure with returning to the workforce how that was going to work and things like that. So that's why I have increased. I have amended my TBR. I have not rearranged it or anything like that. I haven't taken anything off. I've moved some things up. I moved some things around, but I did not take anything off. So no, I did not change anything except, like I said, just kind of rearranging some stuff. As far as my book of the month, now look, I don't like to count rereads when I do stuff like this. So Drawing of the Three, which is one of my favorite Dark Tower books. So I'm going to eliminate that one from consideration here. And I'm also going to eliminate The Hobbit since it's about the 9th time that I've reread it in my life. So I am going to go with Revival by Stephen King. Now, this is a book that I feel like I am ashamed it took me this long, 6 years old, to read this book because it was kind of in my, not in my breakup phase, but it was a time where I become like disillusioned with King. I was over it because, like I said, my whole breakup thing ended when 11/22/63 came out, and I loved it. And I said, okay, well, I'm back. But that was just one of them that I skipped. He started doing like Hard Crime and stuff like that, the Bill Hodges trilogy, which I've since read and loved. But at the time, I was like, okay, I thought he had reached like paycheck stage, where a lot of authors, when they get his age, they either hire a ghostwriter or they're just, hey, here's this manuscript I've had laying around for a while. Reading Revival was kind of like how I felt reading The Outsider, except like times 100, where I said, this man has no business writing a story this good at this age. Because Revival, like I said, if you don't count 11/22/63, 11/22/63, I think this is the best book he's written since the 90s. It was just phenomenal. You guys know I love a good coming of age story. This does coming of age all the way through, just before senior citizen. It's really, really a good look behind the curtain of how all the changes you can go through in your life. And it's everything that I love about King. It's just one of those books, like I said, when I was reading, I was like, this is why I love reading Stephen King. It just really made me enjoy that whole, just a peek at someone's life from beginning to almost ending. It's just really, really phenomenal stuff. And I've had people ask me, are you not doing a review for that? No, because it's going to be Into the Multiverse, and that's probably going to be like, 2-3 years from now, because I'm only doing a book a month, so I won't be doing a full review for it. But yeah, I loved it. It was phenomenal, and easily the best book that I read in January. And I've read some good ones Howling Dark was good. Assassin's Apprentice was very good. I just did that review yesterday. So you guys know that I really did enjoy Revival quite a bit. If you've been kind of on the fence about it. And this is the thing, a lot of people who aren't real big King Concert readers have said, I don't really understand the hype for this book. I get that because a lot of his stories like that, you'll be like, nothing's happening. It doesn't matter to me. It's like my favorite stuff. Like the parts that people didn't like about 11/22/63, which is what I said was my favorite parts in the middle there, where you're just like seeing someone living through the years. It's just the way that he writes that, just it can't be touched for me. It's just exactly why he is my favorite author ever. And Revival, it's really early for me to place it anywhere, but I mean, God, I think when it's all said and done, it'll probably be like a top 15, top 20 for sure Stephen King book for me. And that's a good list coming from me. It really is. It's such a great read. And if you are a big time King fan, you haven't read it yet, please cut it to the front of the line because it is terrific and definitely my book of the month for January. Let's talk about some channel growth in January. We added 2,850 subscribers this month. That is down quite a bit. Now look, November and December were historically great months for the channel. That horror video that I put out, top 10 horror video, really took off, and it really brought a lot of new eyes to the channel. So I expected the growth to kind of come back, regress to the mean a little bit, because that's down 1,177 from December. But again, I'm never going to get upset with adding that many subs in a month. It doesn't bother me at all. 340,000 views. That's down 14,000 from December, and 51,000 hours in watch time, down just 3,000 from December. Like I said, I expected that regression to the mean. Moving on now, let's talk about my most popular content in January. I made 22 videos this month, which when I went back to work, I thought there's no way I'm gonna be able to do that. So what I've been doing is recording a lot ahead. Basically, Saturday has become like my work day for this channel, where I put all of my videos, I'll record them all in one day, and then I'll just kind of bump them up. Or sorry, not bump them up, but kind of just spread them out through the week. And I feel like that's been working pretty well. I try to stay as engaging as I can, but you know, I don't really surf the net or use the Discord or anything like that while I'm at the workplace, because I like to be professional. If you do that, I'm not calling you unprofessional. I'm just saying it's just a work ethic thing for me. So I had a lot of people being like, yeah, using Discord at work's unprofessional. Minimizes window. No, definitely not. You do what works for your workplace. For me, it's just part of my work ethic. I can't do that. But 22 videos in January. I'm going to talk about a couple of the most popular ones here. Obviously, my December 2020 book haul was a big one. It's those book hauls always bring in a lot of good traffic. A lot of people just want to see what the books look like. A lot of people are interested in what others got you and things like that, and got lots of wonderful things from viewers, and wanted to make sure that I give them a personal shout out, because I love you guys so much, and I appreciate anything that you'd want to send me, no matter how big, no matter how small, no matter what it is, even if it's just a sticker or something. It's awesome that you guys would want to do that, and I appreciate it. My back to work announcement, which was just a quick one, just to let people know that nothing was really going to change with the channel. My engagement level was probably just going to go down. I wasn't going to be able to respond to every comment like I did when I first started the channel. I wasn't going to be able to, like I said, talk on the Discord all day and things like that. So it's just one of those things. I just want to let people know that the channel is still very important. I'm still going to be very much a presence. Some weeks, you know, I might not put out as much content as others. Apparently, I've kept the same level of output as I had before. But really, that was just kind of like letting you guys know nothing's going to change, but I am going back to work. So expect like a few little noticeable differences here and there. Then that was 10,000 views on that video, by the way. My most frequent criticism, that one got 10,000 views. And that was one where I talk about some of the comments that I get most commonly, or just a couple that really stuck in my mind. As you can see, you get some things that people will say, and a lot of people would just get really upset about it, and I just laugh it off. And it's kind of wanted to talk about that, you know, how I'm able to laugh stuff like that off. And I mean, to me, it's like I have this inability to just like look at someone and say something really mean to them. And I kind of carry that same attitude over onto the internet. If you wouldn't say it in person, I wouldn't say it on a keyboard. That's just kind of how I am. I like to think that I'm a very positive person. That's just me. But whenever you put yourself out there with something like this, people are going to say stuff, and sometimes it's not going to be pretty. But the overwhelming response I get on this channel, like I said, 99 to 1 is positive. So I don't look too much into it. That's why I don't do one of those videos every month, talking about my mean comments or anything like that. That's the first one that I did. It'll probably be the last one, at least so far. I don't know. We'll see going forward. Guardians of the Moon, spoiler talk number 1, got 9,000 views. And I think that was the whole goal of that, was to help the read-along people who were maybe struggling through those first few parts, kind of talk about what I thought, and kind of open up the discussion for others to talk about what they thought. But guys, the Discord, the Malazan veterans, as I've called them, they have been great. They have been helping new readers along, not spoiling anything for them, answering questions as much as they can without spoiling anything for people like that. I really do appreciate those people. I just recently made one of them a moderator on my Discord, Ryan, because I felt like, okay, the rest of the moderators and myself on the Discord, we are noobs to Malazan. I need someone to go in there and monitor those threads and make sure nobody's spoiling anything. And he very happily accepted that role, and I'm very, very thankful for that. But guys, if you are still wanting to join the read-along, jump on the Discord, join us, because we just started Deadhouse Gates. It's very exciting. And then my Tough Cuts to Fantasy in 2021 got 8,000 views, where I talked about some of the tougher decisions. I am injecting more sci-fi into the channel this year, so obviously some fantasy had to be cut out to make room for it. And none of those decisions were made lightly. And I think that most people understood that, judging off of the traffic for it, even though there are some people who are like, I can't believe you read this and not that. That's always going to happen. I can't read everything that I want to. Now that I realize I do have more reading time than I thought I was going to have, maybe some of those will sneak back on. Like I've already said, I think that the Anna Stevens one will probably sneak back on there. But lots of conversation based off of that. Lots of disappointment, but most of it is understanding and stuff like that. But some personal favorites for the month that didn't really get those numbers. I did my second review for Stephen King's It. That's my favorite Stephen King book ever, and I feel like that's a book I could probably turn this camera on and talk for about 6 hours about easily, and not repeat the same thing twice. So I'm always going to have a great time going into the multiverse, and when it's a book like that I just adore, if I can get one more person to read it, then it's done its job. That's what I would like to do with it. I also did my Why I Decided to Read Robin Hobb, or the Realm of the Elderlings rather than Robin Hobb. It's fun to tell that story about how I first heard about Robin Hobb, and I was like, who the hell is Robin Hobb, back in the 90s. It's fun to talk about that and talk about how it's one of those big 5 series that I had always been kicking the can down the road. Now that I've already started Malazan, I finished Wheel of Time. Realm of the Elderlings is the 3rd one, with Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn and Black Company being 4 and 5, and those should be in the next couple of years. And I can finally get those off of my fantasy bucket list. So that's a fun story to tell. And then, of course, my top 10 Michael Crichton, because besides Stephen King, that is my favorite author of all time, and it really showed that there is enough interest on the channel for people to join me in a reread, because I think Michael Crichton is the perfect palate cleanser between epic fantasy novels, because they're quick reads and they are not heavy. They're not going to bog you down. In a couple of days, you're going to read it and you're going to feel recharged to head into the next Malazan book or something like that. Let's talk about a few goals I have here in February. I'm not setting like crazy subscriber goals or anything like that this year. What comes what may, this channel's already exceeded my expectations ever. Like when I first started it, you told me I'd be over 35,000 subs. I'd have been like, that's amazing. I'm fine with that. I think I might cross 40,000 this month, and that might be really, really cool, just to say, hey, that's a nice number to reach. My year-end goal, like I said, I'd like to hit 50,000. I think that'd be a nice round number to get to. But again, if I don't get there, I'm fine with that. I like having this kind of smaller community feel, because I feel like I can engage with more of you and stuff like that. But I really just want to kind of keep making sure this read-along just continues to go smoothly, because like I said, we just finished Guardians of the Moon, closed all that down, and we started Deadhouse Gates on the 1st, and that runs through March 31st. And it's like this, guys. Hand-holding time is over. With Guardians of the Moon, when I first did those threads, and I did one for each chapter of like the first book that's within the book. There's 7 books within that book. But with this one, it's just like, nope, here, you got one for your prologue, book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4. There, you're done. And that's the sub books that are inside each novel. If you haven't read it, I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about. But basically, like I said, hand-holding time is over. By this point, I feel like you're either in or you're out. I did have some people message me and be like, look, it's just not for me. And that's going to happen. I expected that. I never expected as many people to jump into that read-along as they did. So I expected to lose some people along the way. But a lot of people are still there. And you know what? There's a lot of people right now that are reading Dead House Gates, and I'm not starting it for a few more weeks. So they're going to be way, way ahead of me. So you have until the end of March to read Dead House Gates if you want to join that. And like I said, the Malazan veterans will help guide you along the way if you need it. Please drop into the Discord and talk to someone if you're thinking about dropping it, because great support system over there. And I guess really as far as books, I'm just looking forward to continuing not only Malazan but Robin Hobb. You know, I picked up Royal Assassin this week. I moved those books up my schedule. I had originally had it in January, March, and May, but now it's January, February, March, and I'll be done with Farseer. Partially because, like I said, I wound up with more time than I thought, but also because it was really good. It was really good, and I wanted to move it up and maybe have the opening to keep reading more Realm of the Elderlings in 2021. So, guys, that was January. What did you do and read in January that you liked the most? What was your book of the month for January? What are you most looking forward to reading in February? Drop in the comments and let me know, and I will talk to you there.